When used the right way, saunas, both Finnish and infrared, can boost recovery, reduce inflammation, improve endurance, help balance and regulate your nervous system. So in today's video, we're going to talk all about how to do it. We'll go over some of the science of saunas and kind of what they do from a chemical standpoint in their body, how that helps to benefit and maximize your performance recovery, and then how to use that on both strength days and off days to maximize both performance adaptation and recovery. Before we jump into this, let's just kind of lay the foundation for why recovery in and of itself is so important. We spend so much time with all these really complicated training plans. If you're going to the gym and lifting weights on a regular basis, then you probably have a specific set of things that you're going to do. You know, you've got your chest and tris day, your back and bis day, you've got your leg and shoulder day, your core day, whatever it is. We've got very detailed workout plans for everything that we're going to do in the gym. If you're training to run a marathon, you've got a very detailed plan of I'm going to do my interval days, I'm going to do my long run days, my shorter run days, I'm going to do my high intensity tempo days. I'm going to do all these different things, right? But how much focus are we actually putting on recovery? And recovery to some extent is just as important as the actual training that you're doing, because recovery is what allows you to absorb the training, come back to a baseline, and then be able to go out and train even harder the next day or the next week or the next month. And if we're not focusing on proper recovery and we're overtraining and under recovering, this is when we get into burnouts, plateaus, overtraining, and all these things that really dampen our long-term performance. So we want to make sure that we're really emphasizing recovery, and that's where sauna can be an extremely important tool. So one of the big things to understand also is that exercise is going to release a lot of stress hormones. So we're going to get a release in cortisol, epinephrine, norepinephrine. These are all our acute stress response hormones. And while it may seem bad to be releasing a bunch of stress hormones, in the acute stage, it's actually good. The problem is that when these things stay elevated, now we start to create issues. And being able to utilize sauna is really cool because it almost acts kind of like a reset. The thing is, you can think of it as an accelerator in a car. If we're constantly going 100 miles an hour, it's all fine and dandy while we're going 100 miles an hour, but eventually we're going to stop and run out of gas, right? And so the sauna kind of modulates between the gas pedal and the brake pedal and helps our body switch back and forth between sympathetic and parasympathetic. So it is kind of like a reset button for your nervous system. It also kind of bridges the gap between our training and our recovery by reducing inflammation, boosting circulation. That increase in vasodilation, increase in circulation is going to help to bring new oxygen, new blood, new nutrients into our muscles, and also take away all the waste products that were produced during training. So we can help to really speed up the recovery process by improving circulation, reducing inflammation, and modulating those inflammatory cytokines and things like that. So just some basics of kind of what to expect in a sauna session from a physiological standpoint is, number one, like we just talked about, that improvement in circulation. It's going to bring nutrients, oxygen, blood flow to the tissue, help bring all those nutrients the body needs to repair the tissue. It's also going to remove a lot of those waste products. So you may notice that you're less sore because we're getting that lactic acid out of the tissue faster. One of the other things is we're going to have an increase in heat shock proteins. These heat shock proteins, if you're been studying saunas for any amount of time, you know heat shock proteins are super cool, and they help to repair a lot of that damaged muscle tissue, helps improve your resilience and your longevity. We're also going to see an increase in growth hormone. This is one of the reasons in my previous video on Finnish saunas, I talked a little bit about using a Finnish sauna after exercise because of its ability to increase the growth hormone that already got boosted from exercise. So it actually helps to get a little bit more out of your strength routine, helps to improve that hormone signaling. One of the maybe the most important benefits of sauna utilization is actually the increase in mitochondrial efficiency. So mitochondria are the powerhouse of the cells. If we can make those mitochondria within the muscle tissue more effective, those muscles can now generate more energy, and we can transport that and create more strength or more sports performance as a result of that. The other thing is the body needs energy to repair. So having proper mitochondrial function is extremely important, not only for energy output, but also for muscular repair. And then again, saunas help to really modulate the inflammatory cytokines and inflammatory responses within the body. And while it's important to reduce a lot of that chronic inflammation, the inflammatory process itself is an important process and part of the healing response. So if we just shut down all of our inflammation, we're not going to be able to actually heal and repair because we need those inflammatory signaling molecules to bring those growth factors into the muscles. But too much inflammation, we start to run out of resources and we blunt that response. So using sauna to help modulate that inflammatory cascade is super, super beneficial. Let's jump into kind of how to utilize sauna the best for recovery. And we'll talk about on strength days and how to use infrared sauna and Finnish sauna on strength days, and then also things that we can do on off days, whether we're trying to have a true absolute recovery day or if we want to have a non-strength based day where we're kind of still working blood flow and muscles and circulation and things like that. So in the first example, if we start with a strength training session, say you go to the gym, you do a 45-minute workout, now you want to get in the sauna. So what are we going to do? Well, the first thing is we do want to kind of wait about 10 to 15 minutes. This can prevent the sauna from blunting any of those acute growth responses from the mTOR signaling pathway, which you don't have to get super into. Biggest thing is just, after the sauna, or after the strength training session, just go get some water, walk around for a couple seconds, let your heart rate come down. Just give yourself about 10 to 15 minutes, and then you can jump in the sauna. Now, with the sauna here, it's not an exact science of do we have to have a Finnish sauna, do we have to have an infrared sauna, but most gyms, if you're lifting at LA Fitness or Lifetime Fitness, whatever it is, you're probably going to have access to a high heat Finnish sauna. And if this is the case, then what we want to do is spend about 10, 15, 20 minutes in the sauna. The key here is going to be what the temperature is. So some saunas, 170, 180. Some of the gyms can even get their saunas up to 200. Probably not much over that in the commercial gym. Sometimes you'll push the 210, 220 window. Depending on where we're at on that spectrum dictates how long we want to be in there. But in general, a high heat Finnish sauna, we're going to want to spend anywhere between 10 to 15 to 20 minutes in the sauna. On off days, well, before we talk about off days, let's talk about infrared sauna. Because infrared saunas are going to be low heat saunas, typically more 140 degrees or so. So for in a 140 degree sauna, we're going to have to be there for a little bit longer. Because the big thing is a lot of these benefits happen when that core body temperature reaches about 101, 101.3 degrees. So it's just, the question is, how long does it take us to get there? And that's why the temperature has such a big difference and such a big implication on time exposure as well. If you had the choice between infrared sauna or Finnish sauna immediately after exercise, I would definitely choose the Finnish sauna, that higher heat sauna, just because we're not going to have to stay in it for longer. And that really hot temperature is going to have a little bit more robust improvements on growth hormone, on cardiovascular effects, on things like that, right? So after exercise, wait about 10 to 15 minutes, 15 to 20 minutes in the sauna until we get that body temperature high. Again, dial that forward or backwards, just depending on how hot the sauna is. Now on off days, there's a couple different things that we can do on off days. So we can really work our nervous system resiliency and balance, where we switch between sympathetic, parasympathetic, which is super helpful because it's kind of like a car. We got to have a gas pedal to get us going, but we've also got to have the brake, and we've got to be able to switch back and forth between gas and brake, gas and brake. And so with the nervous system, a lot of times we'll refer to that as nervous system resilience. And this is where we can use bouts or intervals of heat and cold, also called contrast therapy. So if you want to work nervous system resilience on a non-strength day, take a break from the weights. The way that we would do this is we would go into a high heat sauna for about 10 minutes or so. If all you have access to is an infrared sauna, 15, 20 minutes maybe. Again, trying to elevate that core body temperature, and so you start sweating till that heart rate starts to increase a little bit. So about 10 minutes in a Finnish sauna, and then we're going to go to a minute in cold water. Key here is that we probably want this cold water to be like jumping in the swimming pool if you're in LA Fitness or a Lifetime Fitness, or running under a cold shower. This does not necessarily mean jumping into a cold plunge. That's 40, 50 degrees. You can do that if you're super experienced, but for most people that may create too much of a shock to the system. So just for general purposes, hot, 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 and then something cool, but not ice cold. So we're going to do about a 10-minute, 1 minute kind of interval there. We could do this 3-4 times in a day. So, this could be a 45-minute session where we're just going hot to cool, hot to cool, hot to cool. And that really helps to create this situation of adaptability and resilience within our nervous system, which is super, super beneficial. Now let's look at the other scenario where we're just trying to get on an off day, get more into that parasympathetic, rest and digest, kind of sweat out some of the toxins, get some blood flow, get some circulation. This is where we can use more of an infrared sauna if you have access to it, or you would use less time in a high heat sauna. But ideally in this situation, what we'd want to do is use a lower heat infrared sauna. We can stay in it for 20, 30, 45 minutes. And that's really going to help activate the parasympathetic system. It's going to vasodilate, get a lot of the blood supply flowing into the muscles, into the skin, help pull a lot of toxins and things out of the muscles, and just carry a lot of that new blood, new oxygen, new nutrients into the muscles so they can really heal and repair. So just a brief overview again on workout days. We want to spend a little bit more time in that high heat sauna, about 10 to 15 minutes after. And then on off days, we can either do the nervous system resilience training or adaptability training where we're going hot to cold, hot to cold, hot to cold. Or we can do a true recovery session where we're doing lower heat for longer duration with that more that infrared sauna. Now, if you're like me and you want to track everything, there's a couple different ways that you may notice that this is actually playing an important role in balancing your nervous system, improving your adaptability. If you're like me and you wear something like a whip strap, that can track a lot of your biological markers. So it can track your HRV, your resting heart rate, your sleep scores. It can track your recovery. And so you can literally just look at this and kind of see how you're doing. So what you should notice if you're improving recovery and offsetting some of that training that you're doing is you're going to have better sleep. So your sleep score is going to increase. You're going to have a better HRV score. So that heart rate variability is a really good indicator of your parasympathetic activation. So how much are you able to get into that rest or digest? HRV should start to rise steadily. Our resting heart rate should start to decline or decrease. You're going to feel like you're getting a faster recovery from your workout. So maybe muscles aren't going to feel as sore for as long. Maybe you're going to feel like your next strength session, you can hit the gym a little bit harder. You may notice that during your workouts, you can actually push a little bit harder as well. One of the big reasons or ways that I notice this is because I do a lot of triathlon training. So when I'm running or riding the bike outside in the middle of the heat, in the middle of the summer, it's really hot. And obviously you have to have some heat acclimation that takes place. And when I'm in the sauna, it almost acts like heat acclimation. It acts like a fine tuner for my mitochondria. And I feel like I can push harder in the heat during my workouts when I'm using the sauna more frequently. And then you're also going to just notice that your energy levels are better. Your mood's a little bit more stable. And you can kind of just make it through the day with a little bit more kind of resilience and energy. The coolest thing about the sauna is that it's not just a recovery tool, but can actually be used as part of your training. So any high-level athletes know, again, balancing recovery and training is extremely important, and sauna really helps bridge the gap as both a recovery tool and a training tool. So it's going to help you condition your body to handle stress, recover faster, and perform at a higher level. So whether you're looking to get the most out of your training, whether you're looking to balance the nervous system and help create more adaptability and resilience, using the sauna can be extremely, extremely beneficial for you. So I hope you found this video helpful. This is part of a series that I've done on the sauna. If you want to check out some of those other videos, just check back to the channel, like and subscribe, follow for more. If you guys have questions, drop them in the comments below. And if there's other ideas that you have for videos, feel free to reach out and let me know. My goal is to help educate you as much as possible so that you can make the best decisions for your training, your recovery, and your overall health. So again, I hope this video was helpful for you. Take care.